excuse me, I'm very nervous. I unlocked the door of Kenyasha Webb's and Joseph Ball's apartment, allowing two male individuals to enter the apartment and hold them up at gunpoint and assault them with flashlights. They were threatened and their property was taken. I did not try to help or alert the authorities at any time. And I prevented them from being able to use their phones so that they could not alert the authorities or call for any type of help as well. I went and got into the getaway vehicle and proceeded to drive the two individuals away from the crime and also driving myself away as well.
We are about to watch the parole hearing of a woman who was sentenced to 25 years in prison for first-degree armed robbery. This sentence happened in 2005, so she's been locked up for 19 years. Let's see if they will grant parole.
Let's see. State your name.
Good morning. Excuse me, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Monsheeka W 1150258.
Good morning, Ms. White. Thank you for that information. So I want to talk to you about our interview today. This is a 3-member panel from the Iowa Board of Parole. Joining me today are Jesse Rincon and Renee Schulte. You'll see Renee on screen. Jesse is further down from me. In the middle, you'll see James Moses. He's our newest member, and he's here training today. So he won't be involved directly in the interview. Before we proceed any further, I want to let you know this is a public forum, and that means the members of the public and the media can listen. However, they're unable to participate today. It's possible during the course of this interview, we're going to be talking about your personal and confidential information. That could include your medical information, your mental health information, treatment history, and other confidential information. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and do you wish to proceed?
Yes.
All right, I want to let you know how this process works today. So the 3 of us may each have questions for you. Once we've asked the questions, I'll come back to you and I'll ask you if there's anything that you'd like, anything further you'd like for us to know. Once you've completed that, then you'll see us as we go into a discussion and deliberate on the information that we have, but it won't be a time for you to participate. Once we've made a decision, I'll come back to you, I'll deliver that decision to you, and then that concludes today's interview.
Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome. So I'd like for you to describe to us the crimes or crime that you're here in front of us for.
I participated in a robbery, which of course I'm sure you know. Excuse me, I'm very nervous. I unlocked the door of Kenyasha Webb's and Joseph Ball's apartment, allowing two male individuals to enter the apartment and hold them up at gunpoint and assault them with flashlights. They were threatened and their property was taken. I did not try to help or alert the authorities at any time. And I prevented them from being able to use their phones so that they could not alert the authorities or call for any type of help as well. I went and got into the getaway vehicle and proceeded to drive the two individuals away from the crime and also driving myself away as well.
Okay. How did you prevent them from using their phones? What did you do?
I took their phones from them.
Did you leave them there when you left?
No, I took them with us as we drove away from the scene.
Okay. So what happened following you driving away?
We dispersed of the weapons and then we left the state.
Okay. Where did you go and what did you do there?
We went to Wisconsin to my co-defendant's mom's house, where we just continued to reside to avoid the police.
Okay. What happened next?
We then traveled to St. Louis, where my co-defendant's father stayed and resided there. And then we were pretty much trying to sell drugs in St. Louis. There was a controlled buy that took place. And that is where the St. Louis police called us. At the time that the St. Louis police officers questioned me about my name, I did lie about who I was to try to prevent myself from getting arrested.
Okay, so what happened after that?
Once they realized who I was, there was another controlled buy. And then I was arrested by the St. Louis Police Department and detained for Iowa.
Are there any other details of the crime that you'd like to share with us right now?
I had a choice to make that day, and every single choice that I made in that moment was completely wrong. There's no excuse for why the robbery even took place. There's no excuse for my involvement. And I am very remorseful for the situation that took place that day.
Thank you for sharing that. So I'd like to talk to you a little bit more about substances. Were you using any type of drugs?
I was heavily using marijuana.
Do you believe that affected your mindset?
No. Although I did use marijuana, it still does not. It still does, my choices were wrong. And I knew that at the time of the crime.
What about a relationship with alcohol?
Well, yes, I had a relationship with alcohol, but there was no alcohol involved at the time.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate you sharing that. I wanted to say, I've seen that you're working. Congratulations on that AA degree.
Thank you.
Yeah, you bet. It's a lot of work. And in addition to that, the President's Award,
Thank
your
you.
high GPA. Yeah. I'm going to go ahead and pass on to my colleagues for now. So, Jesse, do you have any questions?
I do, thank you. Hello, my name is Jesse Rankin. Nice to meet you.
To meet you as well.
So I don't know if I heard you right. So when you left, you said you took the victims with you?
No, the victim stayed at the apartment.
They stayed, okay. Thank you for clarifying that. What was your discussion with your co-defendants before this robbery? What was the goal?
The goal was it was a retaliation for situations that had happened prior that revolved around drug dealing.
So my next question is completely away from that is, do you remember taking active?
Yes,
So if you are released, what will you take from active that will help you?
taking active helped me to realize the things in life that I took for granted and what I value. And how my thought process can either take me towards those goals or the things that I value or away from them. And so it helps me to make better choices and decisions now, because realizing the things that I value. When I think about those things and take them into consideration, they're far more important than the negative things that I thought that I could accomplish and get away with.
Appreciate you explaining that like that. So, my other question for you is, what kind of work did you do before this incident?
I was a CNA.
A lot of schooling for that.
Say that again, sir?
You took a lot of schooling for that,
Yes.
okay? Who's your support system outside?
Through the Tech to Connect program, I have acquired a mentor through the Recovery Center named Laura Lemus. I have my family support, such as my mom, my sister, my niece, and also I speak with Tara Frecking regularly from 605 Main through Tech to Connect. I have already established a connection with the Rear Fringe Papers program as well through Tech to Connect. So I do feel like I do have a strong support system.
I appreciate that. I'm gonna ask you, how do you feel your mental health status is right now?
I feel really good. Like I had to take a step back and pretty much go backwards to figure out, to repair the pieces of me that were broken so that I can start to make healthier choices for my future. Like I made a lot of poor choices, a lot of them. But I also had to understand that if I wanted to be successful out there, it started with my behavior in here.
It's a good answer. And my last question for you are you currently on any mental health medication?
No.
Thank you so much for answering my questions. I have nothing further.
Thank you, Jesse. Renee, do you have questions?
Just a couple. First, I also want to congratulate you on your work at DMAC. That's really impressive. So it's a really good job for taking advantage of that. Could you tell me what you were studying? What was your topic of interest?
Oh, well, they just gave me the general studies degree. But I have spoken with DMAC to see if I could get an area of expertise such as communications and business management.
Okay. That's what you're interested in?
Well,
Yeah.
I have a lot of interest, but they narrow it down, they fall under different umbrellas such as social work, business, and communications.
Well, you communicate really well, so I just want you to know that that's probably a really good path for you. You're doing a great job today.
Thank you.
So this ties back to Jesse's question about your mental health, but you had all kinds of trouble up until 2022 inside, and then now you don't. So what changed?
I did.
Yeah, how did you do that? What did you decide, or what were you thinking that made that big difference?
I stopped wanting to make my time harder on myself.
Hmm.
And I realized that I wanted to go home. Like I wanted to be able to see my family. I wanted to do something that I wanted to be the person that my family and I myself could be proud of. And if my behavior in here was any indication of how badly I wanted to go home, then it was terrible. And so then I had to realize that my bad behavior and my bad way of thinking and the incorrect way in which I let my emotions take over me were not working. And so I had to change my thought process, change how I handle things, and change how I was seen by the people in this institution and potentially you guys.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Thank you. That's a great answer. Talk to me a little bit about your supports. You just mentioned family. So who do you have waiting for you on the outside?
Oh, well, I have my whole family, like my mom, my sisters, my nieces and my nephews. And then I have my mentor from the Tech to Connect program. Yeah, like I feel like they are indeed waiting.
You have supports ready to help on the outside.
Yes.
Great. Thank you so much for answering my questions. It's nice to meet you today.
Nice to meet you as well.
Thank you, Renee. Jesse, do you have any follow-up
I do
questions?
not, thank you.
All right. I have a few follow-up questions, Ms. White. So it looks like you've been working at IPI.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, what do you do at IPI?
I am the clerk for the anagram balloon department.
And how do you feel that your education and your skilling up within the facility will help you as you transition? What kind of job are you looking for?
Well, I'm looking for a material handler's position, which is pretty much with the forklift, the shipping and receiving, and the manufacturing part. I'm also I'm currently taking classes through Grinnell right now to earn my BA degree. But I plan on continuing that through online classes outside of here through a program that DMAC and you and I have formed together. And so with the skills that I have acquired, I know that I could potentially be a great leader.
We still see you.
And
I know it all.
I've just developed more skills that opens up more doors for me as far as the workforce.
Okay, it looks like you've been working with the workforce development.
Yes,
Okay, got your resume ready to go.
yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about Foundation of Youth?
Oh, the Real Talk program?
I believe that might be it, but I wanted to hear from you.
Well, with the Fountain of Youth, Caprice Jones encouraged us to just deal with the issues that we had from the past in order for us to be successful. And like that helped me a lot because he helped me to understand that the life of crime pretty much is not a good life. And that I have a purpose that is more fundamental than any type of poor choice that I could take. Like I have a reason for being here, for still being alive today, and that I can discover that reason, and that reason will come to me as long as I continue to stay on the path of success.
All right, thank you for sharing that with us. And the last thing is not really a question, I guess it is. I see that your restitution is paid in full. Is that correct?
And
Yes.
sorry, ma'am.
That's okay, go ahead.
And I have also been saving money for not only just a rainy day, but if any type of storms were to happen. I know that my time out there, if granted, could get overwhelming. And so I've decided to set aside some money regularly so that I was prepared for those type of things. So then that
Okay.
things did get overwhelming, or I felt like I kind of had maybe even a door shut, that I was still prepared for those situations.
That makes sense. So it sounds like your go to work release, obviously, due to your crime. And then from there, are you looking at, you're wanting to transition out to your own apartment? Are you looking at family out of state? What's your next step?
Well, I do have family out of state. However, I am prepared to get my own apartment as well, depending on how an out of state transfer or how long it will take for that to get into effect.
All right, thank you. I appreciate you answering all those follow-up questions. I'm gonna ask my colleagues once again if they have any follow-up.
I do not.
All right, so now's the time that we're coming to you and asking you if there's anything further you'd like to share with us, anything more you'd like for us to know today.
I would just like for you guys to know that not only am I a different person, but I am a completely different woman than I was 18 and a half years ago. Like my success is very important to me. My future is very important to me. And I do not plan on committing any other crimes in any way, shape, or form in this lifetime.
Thank you for sharing today. So we're going to go into our discussion. You're going to be able to see us and hear us, but it won't be a time to participate. Once we have a decision, I'm going to come back and I'm going to deliver that to you, and then that'll conclude today's interview. All right, thank you. Colleagues?
Go first if you like. So I thought she had an excellent interview. I'm in agreement with the DOC recommendation of work release with the codes WRG C11P with the 48. I would ask for mental health just to see what the baseline is. If any needs are needed. I like what she said when Renee asked her, you were getting in trouble a lot in 2022. What changed? She said, I did. And that's really what has to happen. She has to make those changes. So yes, I am in agreement with the DOC recommendation.
All right, thank you, Jesse. Renee?
Yeah, I thought this was a really good interview today. Comes across really intelligent, communicates very well. I think a degree in communication and business is a great idea. She's really great at it. The behavior change is remarkable. And so I'm going to support the work release as well. I think I would recommend the mental health. Not sure if a substance use evaluation is needed. I'm open to discussion, but that's all I see.
Right, thank you. So I too thought this was a great interview, and I'll support the department's recommendation. This is a robbery first degree, 85%, and it was a 25-year. And so we're going to do a WRGC 11 today, not a PD. So I agree with the mental health. She's been incarcerated, but those were drug deals. And she said that it was marijuana. But I think for her, getting a baseline in substance abuse is probably, it'll set her mind at ease. It'll set those at ease that are in the work release facility. I would be fine with supporting the substance abuse if you all were.
I can do either way.
Either way is fine for me. Either way.
She talked about alcohol, but I'm okay without the 50. I think that the work release can impose that if they find it necessary, but it sure sounds like she's going to do well. So I'll go ahead and deliver our decision with the WRGC 11, and we're looking at the 40A with mental health and substance abuse. All right, Ms. White, this was just an outstanding interview. You've done a lot while you've been incarcerated. Not only have you done treatment, not only have you skilled up, but you've gone further to delve into education, receiving your associates, you're working on your bachelor's, you have, you made the honor roll, your GPA has been excellent. You paid your restitution in full. I'm just going to go down these because, again, I thought this was an outstanding interview. You've done what you've been asked to do plus more, and that shows that you want to be successful. You talked about having a mentor already, and Tech to Connect. You seem to be very connected to that. You've got that through the recovery center, you've got your family, you have money saved in addition to the restitution paid. You've really been doing what you've been asked to do plus more. And it was very impressive to me today. And I want you to know that. It seems that your rehabilitation has gone well. And now we're going to look at a step down process. We want to continue to monitor you. You'll come back to us on paper. That's what that WRG C11 means. That the board would like to see you on paper to make sure you're walking the talk that we heard today. So, right, okay. So we're going to see you back on paper. We'll be able to make a review from there. And then in addition to that, we'd like for you to continue to engage in mental health counseling and any treatment that the expert in the room, that conversation they have with you, their suggestions, for your stability. And then I think it's fair for you to have a substance abuse evaluation based on what you shared with us today about the drug deals in St. Louis and, participating in some substance use. So we wish you all the best, and we expect great things.
Thank you so much.
Wish you well.
Take care. Thank you, ICIW. I think we're done today, and we
Have a great one.
Next
time.
see you next month.
All right.
Okay, so let's unpack this. I think overall this was a good hearing. Actually, what she stated in terms of what she did, her involvement in the crime, was accurate. We'll go over the details, but it's one of the rare, unique, almost hearings where you didn't see her play the victim. She didn't try to embellish anything. There was no, it was just a very clear cut reiteration of what happened. without victim. And she could have. Know what's interesting about this is that what they stole, this first degree armed robbery, was of drug dealers. They stole cocaine. It wasn't like they went into the home of some, innocent family and it was a drug game that they were playing. And she didn't play that card. It was just, and she got 25 years. Wow. I mean, the more we watch this stuff, the more you just say the whole system is messed up. We have literally, how many Iowa hearings have we seen so far? Just hearings in general where people are taking lives and not getting 25 years. The last Iowa hearing we did, it was a woman who hit and ran a 12-year-old boy on a moped, 13-year-old boy on a moped, and then ran away and wasn't found for 2 years. And she served 2.5 years sentence for a hit and run and hiding for 2 years. Oh my gosh, it's just weird. The law is weird. And you might argue that she seemed to do pretty well in prison. She got her associate's degree. She saved up some money. She paid restitution, which is, again, interesting. How do you pay restitution on a drug deal? So maybe it was because the two guys got hurt, so they had to pay medical restitution. And she had 2 co-defendants, so they probably had to split the restitution. So maybe it wasn't that much money. It's medical bills. But apparently it's interesting that in Iowa, they have you pay that out of your meager wages. I'm sure you're not making much. I'm sure it makes a big deal, but I also wonder if she even has a choice in paying a restitution. Like they probably, it's probably being garnished. So, but I can't give this parole board much credit to share any of that kind of information with us. Actually, the parole board member on the right, I think, only shows how incompetent this board is. If you're not familiar with the Iowa parole hearings, they have all been really bad. They're the worst parole board that we've seen out of any of the states that we cover. And we have not seen a scenario where they give the victims any cure at all. I mean, it's horrible. I'm not exaggerating. It's downright horrible. They make Connecticut look wonderful. And this parole board member they come in very unprepared. I mean, the one on the right said, "Well, tell me, did you tell me that you brought the victims into your van? Was that what you said? Did I mishear you?" And the reason, and she said, no, that we went in a getaway car. And the reason that I bring that up about the van thing is, all he had to do is a little bit of homework and read, any piece of information about this case, and he would have known that didn't happen. So it just shows that he at least is not doing any homework. He's just showing up, and they don't have a lot of parole hearings in Iowa. We see very few. They have the least amount of parole hearings. Actually, Illinois has the fewest, then Iowa, and then you have like Connecticut and Louisiana that seem to maybe have the same number, and then you have Utah with the most. But I mean, they had 3 parole hearings that day on their docket, maybe 4, and he can't take the time to do some homework. So let's read over the appeal. But also what was interesting, they did say that they didn't say how many number of write-ups or what kind of write-ups, but she only did just stop getting write-ups 2 years ago, which is not a great thing. It's kind of weird. They mentioned that she had a ton of write-ups, and that would have been discussed much more probably in other states, well, at least in Louisiana. So on October 22nd, 2005, White came from her residence in Illinois, talking about the devil, to spend the afternoon and evening with her friend, Keisha Webb, and in the Iowa apartment. She informed Webb her van was being repaired while she was there in Davenport. White and Webb had been friends for over 4 years, talked almost every day, and White frequently visited Webb's apartment. Webb's boyfriend Joseph was also there because he had come up with his residence in Quincy, Illinois to spend the weekend with Webb. And thank you, Richard, for providing this info, as always. On the day in question, the three went shopping in Rock Island, Illinois. While in Illinois, White was asked if she wanted to be dropped off at her apartment because they're going to close into Webb, and Ball had changed her weekend plans and decided to go to Quincy, blah, blah, blah. White declined the offer, stating that either her boyfriend's Grant or the person who was fixing her van would be picking her up after the repairs were done. Accordingly, White returned to Webb's apartment in Davenport and Webb Ball. At some point after the three returned, Webb went upstairs to shower and pack some clothes for their overnight trip to Quincy. Webb testified that she believed. Okay. Webb testified that she believed she locked the front door either before or as she went upstairs. However, Ball testified he went out the front door multiple times during the time period to use his cell phone and smoke cigarettes. Both Ball and Webb stated that White was on her cell phone quite a bit after they returned from Illinois, including a number of calls shortly before 6 p.m., but we're not sure who she was talking to. Ball testified that during the last call, he heard White state, "Call me when you come in down 63rd Street." Shortly after 6 p.m., the two men burst into Webb's apartment through the front door. So I don't know. I shouldn't have read all that beginning stuff. But anyways, one was White's boyfriend. So this is White is who we just saw, Monsheeka Gray, Deanna, aka Gray Dina White. Gant and the other was an unidentified masked man. They did not knock or announce their entry. Oh, these guys didn't knock. And the door was apparently unlocked. Gant was carrying a long gun. It is disputed where White was when the two men entered, either on the couch or standing by the front door. Webb was struck on the side of the head. So they burst open the door. So she calls them, has them come over. She unlocks the front door, supposedly, or whatever, but whatever. They come in and immediately knocks one on the head. Ball was struck multiple times about the head with a flashlight and gun and ordered to the ground. So they're basically, White was not struck or harmed in any way. That's because she was in on it. Gant asked Ball where the narcotics and money were. Ball told Gant that the narcotics were in the duffel bag on the floor. Ball was a known dealer and, in fact, had approximately $2,700 worth of powdered Pepsi Cola in his bag. Gant took the Pepsi from the bag. The masked man took approximately $50 to $60 out of his pocket and took Ball's cell phone from the clip on his hip. So maybe I was, the first thing when I read this was, man, that's, they only, they only got $60 in cash. Like, what kind of dealer is he? But either they rushed out and they didn't go after the cash, or they thought there wasn't cash there because, again, they had their inside spy who was staying there and his girlfriend. So maybe they just knew there wasn't any cash there. Maybe they had spent it shopping. I don't know. Ball testified that at some point Gant made some sort of head gesture while motioning towards the front door, and White got up. White apparently did not speak the entire time of the robbery and assaults that were going on. It is undisputed that Gant said to take the phone in the apartment. However, it is unclear whether he was speaking to White or the masked man. Webb stated that she saw White grab either the house phone or her cell phone, or both, off the table. White and the masked man then apparently left the apartment around the same time, although it is disputed precisely who left first and which door each left out of. At that point, Gant was still in the apartment and told Ball to get up and go upstairs. Ball got up and began to run, and at that point, Gant shot him, which is just like, there are certain things, you take it to the next level. It's so stupid. They're doing a drug bust, right? And these morons, he tells him to get up. He tells him at that point, Gant was still in the apartment and told Ball to get up and go upstairs. Ball got up and began to run. So maybe he thought he was not running upstairs. He thought he was running outside. So he shot him once. Ball and Webb then went out the front door to call for help. Webb testifies she saw white van driving down the street fast on 61st Street, coming from the back from behind her apartment. She stated she was familiar with White's van and she had ridden it in a number of times and recognized the van in White's question. Webb saw 3 heads in the van and could identify one of the 3 heads as White's heads. Ball testified he also saw the white van when he went outside to call for help. I thought her van was getting fixed. I guess she lied. He saw the masked man get in the passenger side of the van, and he saw Gant running behind to catch up. He stated it appeared to be the White's van, but admitted he did not see the van leave and which direction it went. Approximately 12 days after the incident, and this is what they said about it. Remember, so they ran away to, I guess, was it to Illinois? Was it somewhere else to sell the stuff? And immediately they sold it in a controlled buy. And they're not really, so many of these criminals are just not very good, right? So they sell it in a controlled buy. They get caught. The police found the cell phones in the car. They ended up confessing to this for some reason, because I don't know why they would. But they confess to it. They get extradited here, and then next thing you know, she's spending 25 years in prison. What's interesting again to me is that the police took this so serious. It's like a drug deal. And I don't know, what are the rules around, like, if I tell police that someone went and stole my drugs, can I not get prosecuted for that? Oh, this is how she was caught. They knew it was her. Because she has a tattoo on her neck that says Latrone. I don't know. It's like, wow, great job doing burglaries with large identifiable tattoos on your neck. Genius. Oh no, that's what because they knew her. They were friends with her. So the whole thing was stupid. Like, I guess she assumed they wouldn't tell on her, because it's a drug deal, right? Thing. But the police, she lied about who she was, but the police said, well, we know your tattoo on your neck, so we know you're the robbery suspect. I guess they assumed that the police wouldn't be notified, but the problem is, as soon as you shoot someone, that's probably what the problem was for them. As soon as someone was shot, the police were going to say something like, you know what, we're not going to, we want to know who shot you, blah, blah, blah. And they would let it go. But if no one was shot, they probably would have gotten away with this. I can't, that would be my guess. But I'm sure many of you in the comment section know how these things work. So please let me know what you feel about that. But then, yeah, the judge threw the book at her. She got 25 years, which again seems like a lot. But it seems to have worked out for her, and I hope we don't see her again, and hope she makes the best of it. Let's see her record. Richard shared. So she had a long record. It's interesting in Iowa that we're allowed to look at the record. In Connecticut, like you only get 10 years. And then it just gets automatically like expunged or something. I don't know if expunged is the right word, but it's not. So she has going back to 96. So she has, it's interesting. You have the seatbelt. We see this a lot, but these are getting like arrested. These aren't tickets. So you just assume they're getting plea deal down, right? So you have the seatbelt in 96 on June. Then, it's not like she learned her lesson. You have July, expired registration, found guilty. Then you have failed to maintain control 97, April 97, failed to maintain control again, which is a month later. Then you have November 97, failure to obey signal device, found guilty. Again, these are not just tickets. These are being found guilty. These are, I'm guessing, arrests. Yeah, these are arrested, right? These are getting cuffed, right? You're getting cuffed. So 127.99, theft second degree, 1227.99 accessory to a felon. Violation of probation, 713-2000. Arrested 114-2000 assault, simple. Arrested 17-2000 interference with official acts. Arrested 17-50 controlled substance. 811 controlled substance. 1215 fugitive from justice. 117 theft of third degree. 532002 obstruction. 5322 operating a vehicle, suspended license. That's Richard's logo. He drew that, you know. Richard drew that. 7803 operating a vehicle, suspended license. There's a bunch in the 7803s. 2305 driving while barred. An habitual offender, though, they gave her for that one because apparently she does it a lot. Also, she got fugitive of justice. 11-3 burglary first degree. This is now the big one that got her. All right. Anyways, thank you very much for being here. I'm overall, happy with the result of this. I think it's good that she, got out. She was honest. And with that, I'll let you go.